just ask a short icebreaker question. So would you be able to just tell us a little about maybe your experience in the industry and your role?
Sure. So my name's Jacinta Galpin. I've got 13 years risk, audit, governance and compliance experience, gained both in the public and private sector. So I started in the public sector, moved into the private, and I'm now back in the public sector working for the Department of Justice in Victoria.
Great. So how are you integrating, I guess, a risk management approach throughout your organisation?
We've adopted the Victorian Managed Investments Authority's 7 Pillars of Risk, which I guess focuses on a multidisciplinary, multifaceted approach to risk. So it's not just about having great governance and plans and policies, it's about having a range of activities that include things like resources and capability, training, inter-organisational sharing, culture, validation and insurance. What we're trying to establish is a multiple lines of defence model around our risk management. So that risk management isn't born by one particular group, or it isn't driven by one particular group, it's driven by the whole organisation in a multitude of ways.
Great. So just following on from that, what role does the CEO play in enterprise risk management?
Absolutely critical role. And within the Department of Justice, we have our Secretary, Penny Armitage, who has overall responsibility for our risk management framework and attests to it in our annual report. Penny is extraordinarily involved in our risk management approach and work. She meets with our Audit and Risk Management Committee twice a year. She has the Risk Management Register, or the Departmental Risk Register, as a standing agenda item at the Executive. So she's extraordinarily committed, and that flows down. When people know that the Secretary is keen and has a formal and valuable role within risk management, they will then follow, and they will follow the lead of the Secretary in applying risk management with the same rigour that she does.
Great, and just lastly, what's the value in speaking or attending the conference today, or what's been a highlight for you so far?
For me, it's just the people that have attended so far. There's people that are just keen to learn and share and develop their skills, and for me that's always an exciting thing. It's great to come to a conference where there are individuals who are here to really further their learning, and for me as well, for me to learn something new as well.
So just when you respond,
okay,
I'll get you to direct your responses at me,
okay,
and not the camera.
Not at the camera, okay.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. So I'll just start off by asking the first question. So the 2003 Columbia disaster changed your organisation's approach to risk management. So would you be able to tell us maybe just some of the fundamental elements that organisations should consider when developing and implementing an ERM strategy or an approach?
NASA has a varied history on risk management. They had more of an informal and unstructured process for risk management over the history of NASA, and they've had many great successes with that strategy. But starting with Columbia and Challenger and then Columbia, there was a need to structurally change how we did risk management. So some of the things that we changed organizationally is have a more structured risk management processes and techniques to help identify and then manage the risks. Is that about the right line?
Great,
okay.
Perfect, yeah. So maybe if you just mentioned some of the structures and processes in that, would you be able to just...
Sure. So can you splice it together, or do I need to start?
Yeah, so that's fine. So if you could just maybe tell us quickly about the structures and approaches that you actually use, just maybe give us a quick example of something.
Okay.
That's okay.
So we use something called continuous risk management. It's a paradigm that was developed by Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh in the US. And it's kind of a iterative process of identification, of analysis of the risks, then how to manage those risks, then planning, and then executing those plans, and then seeing how well those plans work. So it's a kind of an iterative process, and it's worked well for us.
Great. So is it okay if we move on to the next
question?
Sure. Is that okay with you? Do
Is
you
there
want some time to...
No. From those responses, you think there was any jumpiness? You want me to repeat any of it?
No, not at all.
Okay.
No, yeah,
okay.
That's great.
I want to make sure you have enough to work with when you slice it together.
No,
okay.
no, I'll tell you if not.
Okay.
So what types of strategies did you use to communicate your risk management approach throughout your entire organisation?
We use kind of a comprehensive communication strategy, and it has different levels, from a risk database or a risk registry that we develop to communicate risk throughout the organization. We have risk boards, formal boards, where we review, analyze, and plan for risks. We have a lot of training that we provide to all employees. The way that we look at risk management is that it should be an integral part of everyone's job. It's not a separate job just for a risk team. And so through that approach, we have to make sure that everyone understands what risk is and what their role is in risk management.
Great. So following on from that, what lessons then have you learned from developing and implementing that approach, or developing risk management throughout the project?
I guess some of the key elements, and again, going back to around 2002, 2003 is when we first started having a more structured approach to risk management. We did a lot of market surveys. I led a team to try to figure out how, if we have a clean sheet, how do we implement an effective process? And the way that we see effective processes is not one size fits all. Every organization with their cultures, with their constraints, have different requirements. So if you're outlining a new process and implementing it, you really have to understand what you're working with and then the tools that you can apply. Some of the things that specifically that we learned through that process is, obviously you have to have buy-in from key management, and that management, the key top management, has to communicate that throughout the organization so that it's important for them, and they and all employees below that top official sees top management using and actually benefiting from risk management. The other key element is that it has to have benefit for everyone. And so if I do a task, a risk management task, I have to know that it not only benefits my top management or my manager, but it has some benefit for us, for me individually. And so developing a good process, we try to ensure that everyone's needs and goals are met in implementing risk management.
Great. And just quickly, the last question, which is just about the conference today. I know it's only lunchtime on the first day, but what is the value of attending, or I guess what's a highlight been so far for you of attending the conference so far?
One of the critical elements for risk management is continuous process improvement. Just because you have an effective method to do risk management doesn't mean that you can't improve it. By attending conferences like this, what I found is that I can see different ways and different techniques that I didn't think about before attending the conference. I can take those key elements, not everything that I hear I can implement back, but those elements that I think have some effect, I can take those back and try it out and then improve the way we do business. And I think that's applicable whether you're an organization that's just starting out with risk management or a very highly mature organization that's been implementing risk management for a long time.